Hi, my name is Ian Walker. I'm the program director at Parisi Speed School of Raleigh here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm excited to be here today. I've been in the sports performance industry for right about 3 years now. And prior to that, coached track and field for about 6 years. So coming up on 9 years as a coach altogether. My first coaching influence that I can remember, I do not remember his name, but I remember the coach. I just remember how involved he was and attentive he was to me. It was a basketball coach that I had when I was young, and I lived in Germany. And this coach just, even as when I was as a young kid, I just really felt like this coach was really interested in me. He was really invested into who I was as an individual, and to helping me grow and to be better, and cared about me just as who I was. As little Ian back then. So I lived in Germany for about 3.5 years. My mom was in the military. She was in the Air Force. So she was stationed out there. And good memories that I have. I was young, but definitely it was interesting times. I knew how to speak German back then. I don't anymore. Probably because I was really young. I don't really recall if there's much difference. At that time, a lot of what I did, it was just influenced because it was a different culture and the language. So my mom was very, I guess, intentional about having me around people who spoke German. So we lived in a German neighborhood. She never stayed on the base. And so a lot of the activities that I was involved in, I had to learn how to speak the language and learn how to communicate with other people. So for me, that was probably just the biggest impact on me as an individual that I noticed, was just pushing beyond language barriers, cultural barriers, and still being able to interact with my teammates and play with them. So absolutely, 1,000%. I think those experiences, being in places with around people who are different from me, helped develop my love for diversity and just being around other types of people, but also communication. And the other coaches that I work with, I talk about it all the time, just growing better in our styles of communication and our methods of communication, because I believe that that's a big key when it comes to coaching that sometimes gets overlooked. Just because we want to see people do the drills, we want to, get into the science of things. But if we can communicate well to the athlete, and the athlete can understand, what it is that we want to get from them, and what it is that where we're trying to take them to. In my personal experience, it has a tremendous results, later on in the training process. And I think the athlete appreciates it more when you're actually talking to them and talking with them, rather than just, giving out instructions and blowing a whistle. So stability and coordination, those are kind of two different things, but for me, sometimes they flow into each other. And I usually, to be able to overcome that with younger athletes, I try to incorporate some fun games where they're not necessarily thinking about their stability, or not necessarily thinking about how their arms are moving, and in relation to their legs. But because the game is making it fun, it's stimulating them in a different way. But I'm getting the result that I want from them, and they're practicing the technique, and they start to develop as a result. And then I can refer back to that and say, remember when we played this game and what you were doing in this situation, or that situation. And then the light bulb, kind of comes on for them, and they can then reproduce what we did in that situation over and over again, because it's something they experience. And I think because it's like an enjoyable atmosphere, or something that they had fun with, it sticks with them longer. And so they're able to recall that, and then do those same things again. Probably the most memorable piece of advice I've ever been given, and that I still give out myself to this day is control what you can control. Um, just not overly worrying about all the variables that are going on that we have no control over, that we don't decide, but understanding that I can control my attitude, I can control my effort, I can control my consistency, and doing that to the best of my ability, and just approaching each day with that in mind. Just control what I can control, and everything else will fall into place as it should. And that's been a tremendous help for me throughout my life, from middle school, high school, on into my professional career. And I hopefully, I believe that's a source of encouragement and a benefit to the athletes that I just preach to them constantly. They probably get tired of me saying it, but yeah. Oh, if I could have one superpower, I mean, for me, I, I guess I've always been about speed since I was young. I've been undersized, so speed was a big thing to me. I'd want to have superhuman speed. I'd want to be the Flash or some version thereof, where I could beat whoever I needed to in a race or get wherever I needed to as fast as I could. That would be ideal for me. I've always just been drawn to that. The Flash, Speedy Gonzalez back in the day, the Roadrunner, all that was just, those were the cartoons and the characters that I was drawn to. So superhuman speed for sure.